Thank you, Chairman Smith and the ranking member, and thank all of you for being here today. As a mother and a grandmother, I know the importance of allowing parents to choose which schools are best for their children and their own unique skills. When I was in college, I made the choice to certified to teach on a secondary level, which means middle school and high school. I learned how to teach English and history and math and all of those things that we really thought was so important. And those have evolved to STEM and STEAM and other curriculums as we move forward. Life has its own twists and turns. I ended up in real estate as opposed to being a teacher, but I volunteered in the school system for 17 years. And believe me, when you walk the halls of middle school, those hormones are alive and well today, just like they were when I learned how to teach all those years ago. Dr. DeAngelis, thank you for highlighting my state in your testimony and how we provide parents with one of the most expansive education savings account program in the country. This program is called the Hope Scholarship Program, and it has an eligibility rate of 93% across all students in my state, making West Virginia a leader in giving parents the opportunity to build an individual learning experience that will work best for their child. I already think of you as Dr. D. I don't know if that's happened to you before or not. We have all seen how radical woke ideology, which really sloughs over history and civics and all of those other things, but does include gender and sexual orientation, has made its way into our children's curriculum in school. You know, it's a good thing that parents at least can contain their children exposure at school, at home. In your opinion, how do you see school choice as a way to protect our children from the radical and damaging ideology of the left?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Too many schools are focusing on indoctrination, not education. And the best solution to this problem is to allow the families to choose for their own kids. Every other so-called solution from the top down is within the one-size-fits-all system that by definition is never going to meet the needs of individual families. Schooling is a way to outsource partially the raising of your children, and in the current system that we force families based on their zip code into, you have one group of parents, or even a special interest more likely, controlling the minds of other people's children with that in that system. The only way forward through freedom as opposed to force is from the bottom up, allowing families to choose schools that align with their own values. That's the only way out of this mess where you're not having some parents control how to raise other people's children. So I think we should all be able to agree, left and right. If you want to go to a school that aligns with your values, with this curriculum or that curriculum, it shouldn't matter what that is. But parents should be able to choose for their own children. So I think this is the best solution. There are other pieces of legislation that could be banning certain concepts or promoting other concepts, and that could be moving the ball in the right direction. But we've seen in so many states, at the state level at least, that this is a unenforceable policy in some cases. We have videos coming out from Accuracy in Media in red states that have banned CRT, for example, where the public school officials are admitting on camera in undercover video that they're going to do it anyway. They're not going to call it CRT. They'll call it social emotional learning, or they'll call it student mental health services. And at the end of the day, this should be up to the parents for their own kids anyway.
You are so right. Mr. Redmond, I'd really like to meet Pops and Hattie. I know I'd want to give them a big hug because didn't they do a good job? And thank you for being here. You know, in my home state of West Virginia, as well as across the country, businesses are facing crippling shortages of not having enough people in the workforce and across all of the major industries. And for too long, we have been enabling people to stay at home instead of go back to work. The Biden administration's failure to address inflation and the rising cost of obtaining education have made vocational and technical colleges increasingly out of reach for my West Virginians who might want to learn high-demand skills in order to enter the workforce. School systems have changed now. I think that they should have allowed to continue teaching life skills, middle school, home ec, shop. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody, when they came there, they knew what a Phillips screwdriver was or why there were 3 wires in a box? before they move on in their life. And I think that should happen in middle school. In your opinion, how would expanding 529 accounts to include workforce training programs like your American truck training help our labor force get back to the pre-pandemic employment levels?
Well, thank you, Congresswoman. It's basically what we've been talking about all this time. It's about giving folks a choice. You know, I'm full of stories, so here comes another. There was a gentleman named Gerald that came to my school who got a 4-year degree, but you know, he didn't have. It was really tough for him to come to school, but he ended up coming to school and utilizing you know, what he had to in fact get his commercial driver's license. And had he had something like 529, it would have been not such torture for him to come to school. If he had that extra something, even if it was half his tuition, it would have been not such a struggle for him. And I see that all the time, where folks are struggling, trying to make ends meet, and also trying to pay for vocational training. Because let's face it, like we've all discussed, that, you know, college is just, let's be honest, it's just not for everyone. You know, and we got to give folks more opportunities. And so, I just don't see the point in anyone who could see that how this could not benefit our country and the folks who need help.